So the lawyer gave him the will and said, well, when you get home, read that and make sure it's dealt with properly, signed, witnessed, etc., etc. Unfortunately, William didn't make it home, and the will was found in his jacket pocket, unsigned, and not witnessed. That we think was pretty sad for him, but obviously his family thought, wonderful, happy days, there's instructions here where the money's going to go to. Unfortunately, our friends the lawyers got involved. Absolutely. That 250 million actually was spent by the lawyers and the accountants. 2 big firms today are made on the back of this. And it wasn't until 1915, eventually all the money ran out, and nobody actually inherited a single bean from that estate. And that's the problem of dying what's called intestate, i.e. dying without a will. So one of the things that people often say when they meet me is, well, I've got a will or I haven't got a will. So a bit of a myth is everybody has a will. Simply the fact is that you either have a will that you've made yourself, giving instructions to pass your assets to your beneficiaries, or you have the government's will, which is the laws of intestacy. So if you're married, for example, and you have children, your wife will receive the first 200.
Which one's getting your lot then, Stuart?
So only the current wife. Absolutely. The current wife would get 250,000, and the rest of the estate would be split 50-50 between her and the children. So it's quite prescriptive how the money's left. And in this chap, William Jennings' case, had laws of intestacy been around in that time, all of his estate would actually gone to the state, not to.
No, don't think so.
There's music again. Yeah. Not to himself. Absolutely, it's quite amusing. So that sort of covers the issues of dying without a will. But then we go to the other extreme, which is a chap called Richard Burton, who most of you will be familiar with. He married Elizabeth Taylor a couple of times, made some good films, that sort of thing. He made quite a significant amount of money doing that. And his advisor said, well, if you stay in the UK, you're going to pay too much income tax, too much capital gains tax, and you will be subject to death duties, inheritance tax. What you need to do is leave the country and go abroad. So for his last 27 years, he lived between Switzerland, in Geneva, and America. And his lawyers were very happy because obviously he'd done the right things. His accountants were very happy because he'd saved tax. And sadly, in 1984, at the age of 58, after consuming vast amounts of alcohol, his liver gave way and he died, which is quite unfortunate again for him. The revenue were a bit upset because he died in Switzerland, and his intention was always to be buried in Switzerland. So they thought, well, we missed a bit of money here, this is not fair. But unbeknownst to Richard Burton, one of his relatives from very early on when he first married Elizabeth Taylor remembered that he'd actually bought a burial plot in Wales next to his parents. And unfortunately, by doing so, he now made himself re-domiciled himself for UK tax purposes. So having done all the right things in terms of getting himself offshore to avoid absolutely tax. Oh, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Keep digging. And unfortunately, the inheritance tax bill was a significant amount of £2.4 million, which is quite a hefty tax bill to suddenly for the estate to pay.
I was devastated when it came through.
Absolutely. So the revenue were clapping their hands with glee at that point. So poor Richard, he didn't quite work out quite.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, no. Just make sure you do it in the right place. Say again? Oh, income tax, absolutely, yes. Yeah, definitely. That's
living abroad and you have properties in the UK, that's the fine.
yes, the laws of domicility. So you've got a So the next sort of anecdote, I thought I'd focus more on the business side of things, because obviously we're business people. And this recalls a story of I played golf with a chap called John, who was in business with another chap called John. They had quite a successful business in the locality, turning over about 20 million, employing quite a couple of hundred people, so quite a reasonable sized business. And I was chatting to John about the fact that he's doing really well and all things going so on. And older John, obviously, is he a 50% shareholder in the limited company? Yeah, he is, and so on. Because the John I was playing with was about 40 at the time, and his partner was about 60 at the time. What was interesting though was that the elder John had a son who was actually employed in the business at a very low level, sort of cleaning the floors, that sort of thing. And so I said to this particular young John, so if John goes off on holiday with his missus and unfortunately they're caught in an accident and they both die, do you know what happens to your business? He said, well, not really. I mean, I'm the shareholder, I control it, don't I? He said, no, that's not the case. What actually happens is the 70-year-old son, Stephen, he now owns the shares and he can now dictate to you how you run your business. I know it's quite scary for John, it should be scary for most people really. What was more relevant when I said to him was the fact, well, what happens if the older John doesn't actually quite die straight away? Because he's in charge of payroll, he pays the checks. You're about to land a very big deal in terms of taking your business forward for the next 2 years. What happens if he's not in a position to make a decision? So what do you mean by that? So you don't have authority, because I'm playing with the bank at this point, to write the checks for the payroll. Only this older John does. Well, I hadn't thought of that, says little John. And basically what it means is that if you don't have authority through a power of attorney in the business, if something happens to one of your co-shareholders, then you could find yourself in a bit of trouble really, in terms of actually keeping the business running forward. So these are